Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, guys. So we are from Anaphoric reference group. So our group consists of me, Kurniawan, Noor, and Nurul Hidayah. So the first presentation will be presented by me, Kurniawan, Noor, and the topic is about reference. So reference is an act in which the writers or the speakers use linguistic forms to enable the reader or listener to identify some things, or we could say that reference is the word we use to identify things are in some relationships to those things. And there are 4 categories of referring expression. The first one is proper noun. For example, Donald Trump and Washington. And the second one is definite noun phrases. In definite noun phrases, Donald Trump become the president of the US and Washington become the city. And the third is indefinite noun phrases. In definite noun phrases, Donald Trump become a man and Washington become a place. And the fourth is pronouns. In pronouns, Donald Trump become him and Washington become it. So the choice of one type of referring expressions rather than another seems to be based to a large extent on what the speaker assumes the listeners already knows. And also reference is clearly tied to the speaker's goals or aim and belief in the use of language. And also it is important to recognize that not all the referring expressions have identifiable physical reference. For example, indefinite noun phrases can be used to identify to a physically present entity, but it also can be used to describe entity that assumes to be exist, or also it can be used to describe the entity that, as far as we know, that doesn't exist at all. So reference needs to use objectively correct naming, but can work with locally successful choice of expressions. Indefinite noun phrases can refer to, first, a physically present entity. For example, there is a man waiting for you. So the word man here refers to a physically present entity. And the second, an unknown entity assumes to exist. For example, he wants to marry a woman with lots of money. So a woman with lots of money here refers to unknown entity assumes to exist. And the last is an entity that doesn't exist. For example, would like to assign a 9-foot tall basketball player. So a 9-foot tall basketball player here refers to entity that doesn't exist. So this is called an attributive use. Means that whoever or whatever can be fixed in the descriptions, but it would be distinct to a referential use. A specific person is referred to, although his or her name or some others descriptions is not used. I think that's all from me, and the next presentation will be presented by Nurul Hidayah.
I'm Nurul Hidayah. I'm going to talk about type of reference called anaphoric reference. Well, anaphoric reference, also called backwards reference, means that when a word or a phrase refers to something mentioned earlier in the text, usually a pronoun that refers backward to another element in the text. For example, Shafiq went to cinema. He was happy. In this utterance, he is a backward anaphor. It's an anaphoric reference referring backward to referent, which is Shafiq. Let's see another example. When Elsa and Anna went home, they got a birthday surprise. Here, they refers to Elsa and Anna. In technical terms, the first mentioning or initial reference called as antecedent, while the second mention called as anaphor. Let's see example. Shafiq went to cinema. He was happy. In this utterance, Shafiq is the antecedent, while he is the anaphor. Another example. Can I borrow your dictionary? Yes, it's on the table. Here, dictionary is the antecedent and it's the anaphor. Actually, there are other type of reference called cataphoric reference, which refers forward in the utterance. For example, when he arrived, John noticed that the door was open. In this utterance, he refers to John. And this is our source or our references. I think I have presented all of our materials about anaphoric reference. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.